Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. First, I would like to thank Rich Bailey and Mike Patterson for allowing me to interview them this past Monday, and thanks to all of those who joined my first live stream. Also, this marks episode 120, and if you're new to my channel, every 5th episode, I thank those who have commented regularly on my last 5 videos. We are also going to review your favorite Bigfoot videos, and I have an encounter story to share with you as well as a way of thanking you all for helping this channel grow. So a special shout out goes out to Bender, Chris Lumen, Diana Clark, Gray 19 Sargent, Jesse J. Hutchings, Jor Skinner, Layla Left, and Rich. Thank you so much for commenting, and also thanks to all the recent subscribers and the rest of you who come back each week to watch these episodes. Thank you so very much. Okay, if you have an encounter story that you would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be more than honored to share your story with like-minded people. Go grab yourself a beverage and get cozy in your favorite spot and sit back and relax. Okay, so we have 2 videos here. I know for sure that the second video takes place on 2012, and both of them takes place in Provo Canyon, and this would be in Utah. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you both of them one at a time, and then I'll speak to them afterwards. There's not much information on the very first one that I'm about to show you, but let's take a look. So in the video, you see this fellow running, and he's supposed to be hiking through Provo Canyon, and he sees this creature walking down the hill, and it squats behind a tree and then proceeds to throw a rock at him, at which point he runs away. I'm going to leave this one up to you. This picture is kind of interesting since he appears to have a little bit of a pot belly, which is pretty interesting. I'm going to play it one more time, and then we're going to show the second one, which is also from Provo Canyon. Here's the subject walking down, and I'm going to loop it 3 times. Here's the subject standing up and throwing something. Well, I'll let you guys decide what you think this is, but I have to say that arm is pretty long. The second clip is also from Provo Canyon, and this one also takes place in 2012, I believe. And this one is of 2 siblings hiking through the canyon, and I believe it was during the month of October. And they happened upon this creature, which they started filming because I think earlier that day they had seen a deer or something. And basically they were filming wildlife, but they didn't realize what it was they captured. So let's take a look.
Can see. Does he think it's a bear? You think there's a bear next to the deer? probably should be too close to it, huh? Oh, cool though. Let's go.
So here it is. The creature is behind this tree and stands up. As you can see, I'm looping this 3 times. So it is kind of difficult to tell any sort of proportions. It's hard to see length of arm just because of the angle. It looks like this creature is slightly elevated from where they are. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on these 2 video clips, whether they are real or fake. And now let's move on to our last story of the day. So this is 3 separate instances of paralysis occurring in an area with Sasquatch activity. This is between 2008 and 2011. Now, 2 of the instances occurs in Marquette County, Michigan, and the last one takes place in Kenton, which I will show a different map for that one. So why don't we get started on the first instance? When these events occurred, I was an investigator for a large, well-known organization focused on investigating and reporting Bigfoot encounters. I have since left that organization in favor of independent research. My interest is sound recording and learning from others who may have had similar experiences as described in the following events. Instance number 1, fall of 2008 near Marquette, Michigan. A private expedition was planned near Marquette in Michigan Upper Peninsula. I had planned on arriving at the expedition base camp at around 6 p.m. on Thursday. I actually arrived around 10:30 p.m. that evening. It was dark and I couldn't find a campsite, so I pulled into a turnaround near another campsite in an apple orchard. I decided to sleep in my car rather than set up a tent in the dark. I woke up several times during the night due to hundreds of ounces of various caffeinated beverages consumed during the 6+ hour drive. The body has a way of offloading excess fluid, and I had the opportunity to do this several times during the night. During one of the awakenings, I heard what sounded like heavy footsteps and snorting noises coming from the orchard. At one point, it sounded as if something had taken a hold of one of the apple trees and was shaking it vigorously. I could hear all of the apples falling from the tree. I quickly finished my business and headed back to my car. Whatever I heard sounded large, and it wasn't something I wanted to meet alone in the dark. I slept sporadically, trying to remain sensitive to an activity outside my car. Sometime around 3 a.m., I was awoken and alerted to an event outside of the car. I was unable to move. Normally, I can go from a deep sleep to fully alert in a matter of moments. This was not the case for this event. I was paralyzed, barely able to open my eyes. I did manage to open them, though, and witnessed a non-human hairy primate face quickly pass by the car, looking in at me through the driver's side window. It was moving quickly. Once the face was out of sight, the paralysis passed and I was able to sit up and attempt to see what was outside of my car. I got out and looked around. Whatever it was had left the area. Other members of the expedition camped in orchard the next night and reported hearing heavy footsteps and the same tree shaking activity I had heard. Instance number 2, summer of 2010 near Marquette, Michigan. I returned to the same location in the summer of 2010 for another private expedition. I brought a friend, a skeptic, with me so that we could hang out and he could at least have an enjoyable weekend of camping. I opted to establish our camp in the same orchard as 2008, rather than join the rest of the party at base camp. No nighttime arrival this time, however. Camp was set up early and we joined the group at base camp for daytime exploration and campfire conversation about the Bigfoot phenomena. My friend was attentive, but you could tell he was humoring the Bigfoot knocks. Still, the exploration and conversations were enjoyable. At the end of the day and after many miles of walking, we left the main group and retired to our separate campsite. At dark, we turned in. During the night, I awoke paralyzed. I did not see or hear anything and could not move for an indeterminate amount of time. Then I was released. Upon release, a feeling of euphoria washed over me. I just felt like everything was going to be okay and it would be fine if I fell asleep, which I did. The next morning, we got up and headed to base camp. Over breakfast, I told the party of my overnight experience. My friend looked at me in an odd way, but said nothing. After breakfast, we headed back to our camp to gather our gear for the day's exploration. On the way back to the camp, he looked at me and said that he had experienced the exact same paralysis and euphoria that I had experienced. My assumption is that this occurred at the same time, but I have no way of confirming this. My friend is no longer a skeptic and remembers the event vividly to this day. The last instance takes place in the summer of 2011. We are going to Houghton County near Kenton, Michigan. Instance number 3, summer of 2011 near Kenton, Michigan. In 2011, I and 2 other investigators were scouting a location near Kenton, also in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. We were there to scout based upon local reports of activity. We were in that area for several nights. The second night, we went on a night ops, walking trails in the dark. I vocalized a number of times. The final vocalization before we returned to camp elicited an enthusiastic response from a pack of coyotes. I believe it also drew the attention of the local Sasquatch, and I suspect they were watching us from the darkness of the forest. When we returned to camp, the rain began. We immediately headed to our tents. The rain was quite heavy and lasted most of the night. The other 2 investigators were located at the opposite end of the camp, somewhere between 75 and 100 feet from my tent. At dawn, I awoke suddenly. I was again paralyzed. I was alone for the Kenton event with the other investigators at the other end of the campsite. The paralysis lasted for nearly 7 minutes. The event ends with a knock, at which point the paralysis ends. In the previous instances, I would describe the paralysis as gentle. In Kenton, there was no such feeling. I experienced terror from the entire event, and to this day, believe if the others had not been in the camp, I might not have returned from the forest. I had an Olympus digital recorder recording as I slept. I posted a recording of this event to YouTube in 2012. The sounds are of me trying to fight the paralysis, struggling to move within the sleeping bag, and yell for help from the other investigators. The yell is pretty weak, but you can hear me struggling to say, "Help me." I was conscious during the whole event, but locked down pretty hard. The recording is best listened with a headset. Most of the pops you hear in the recording are drops of water falling onto the tent from the trees. If you listen closely, you might even hear a twig snapping near my tent close to the time I woke up. You can hear the wood knock at the end of the event. Okay, so I'm going to pause the story here and I'm going to insert 2 clips. The first clip is of him distinctly trying to say the word "help me." The second one is near the end where you hear some movement and you do hear a knock or a tree break. It is my belief that our traipsing through the woods and vocalizations offended or antagonized the local Sasquatch. I was singled out due to my vocalizations. I assume our nighttime wandering were observed. I believe there were 2 Sasquatch investigating our campsite, one down in the camp and the other watching. The second one was the one that performed the knock, telling the one in the camp it was time to leave. My hypothesis. It has been speculated that Bigfoot have the ability to emit infrasound. There are other creatures that are able to emit infrasound, including elephants, giraffes, and cougars. These low-frequency vibrations may affect humans in any number of ways, including uneasiness, feeling of being watched, fear, panic, and even paralysis. It is common for investigators with time in the field to experience at least some of these effects. This is commonly referred to as being zapped. My theory is that Bigfoot can use his ability to safely explore campsites. This is only speculation, but my experiences make it a possibility. If they are able to use this ability in this manner, it's possible they can use it for numerous activities, including hunting a large game such as deer or elk. It would certainly be easier if they didn't have to chase their prey. There is a short documentary available on Amazon that describes many of these same experiences. Titled Omawing, the documentary was released in 2015, 4 years after my final experience. Unfortunately, it is not free to watch on Prime. You have to rent it. Okay, so I'm going to leave a link to that as well, so you guys can go and check out the trailer and then see whether or not you want to watch it on Prime. He concludes by saying, "I'm interested in hearing from others who may have had similar experiences. With V's permission, feel free to comment on this video. I'd like to hear from others with similar experiences who haven't felt comfortable speaking to others about their experience." First of all, I want to thank this writer for sending in the story. This one came in via the live stream and they delivered. So thank you so much for sending this in. We may even get a secondary one, but we will wait and see. I am not going to mention the name because I don't think I asked for permission, nor did they say that I could use their name. But what I am going to do is I'm going to leave 2 links. I'm going to leave a link to the YouTube channel where you can hear the audio of the entire paralysis that occurred in instance number 3. I'm also going to leave a link to the movie, which is on Prime. Did he say Prime? Yes, which is on Amazon, and it is titled Omawing, and that one was released in 2015. So I am going to leave both of those links in the description below. And yes, you have my permission. I am going to send them directly to your YouTube channel so they can hear the audio of your last event that you shared with us. So thank you very much for sharing that. I truly appreciate it. And I'd like to add that no experience is insignificant, because I've had comments during the live stream that something has happened to them, but they don't feel that it justifies being told. Well, I beg to differ. I have received another one which is more on the paranormal side, which is going to be coming up in next week's episode. And again, you may feel that it's insignificant, but it truly isn't, because you may actually trigger somebody else's memory to an event that would have happened to them that they would have just sloughed off and said, oh, this is really nothing. But I find the more people hear of similar experiences, the more they realize, oh, okay, maybe I did have an experience. So again, if you guys have something that you want to share, feel free to send it to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. And again, I would be happy to share your experience on this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 clips from Provo Canyon. And again, weigh in. Let me know if you feel they are real or fake. And that is going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit the like button on your way out and smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all my latest uploads. Have yourself a great weekend, and I hope to see you all next week right here on Ontario Cryptids.